So this is the second craft beer by JKB Brewing. I tasted it fresh out of the fermenter before it was dry hopped and when it was first kegged, and thought that it was on point, tasting great. I even made a YouTube video about it. No worries, right? I mean, I've tasted plenty of craft beer, made plenty of the stuff at home, and watched every tasting video on the internet. I am my own self-appointed beer tasting expert. I know what I'm doing when it comes to tasting beer.
No more beer, apparently.
Obviously. Now cut to my first sales tasting of this new craft beer. Confidence. Check. Sample poured. Check. And then I go to take a sip, and it tastes different. What an embarrassing nightmare. In the previous YouTube video where I tasted this beer fresh, I thought I had nailed it. The flavor profile, the image, everything. And I used that tasting to write website copy, craft my outreach emails, and even build my pitch for the sales tastings. And then at my very first in-person tasting, it all fell apart. The beer had changed. The flavor I was selling wasn't exactly what people were tasting. My worst fear had come true. The what if no one else sees the beer the way I do question that keeps me up at night.
So maybe I should just quit craft beer and take up breeding? Or perhaps what I should do instead is taste it again and tell you what this beer really tastes like.
Let's first step into the world of Goodness Gracious, a Belgian pale ale that captures the essence of a strong Belgian ale but scaled down for easy drinking. Inspired by the richness of traditional Belgian brews, this beer brings a full, layered experience without being too overwhelming. A touch of dry hop adds a modern twist, evoking the perfect balance between refreshment and depth. It's the kind of beer you reach for when you've earned that well-deserved break, whether you're soaking up the last light of the day or kicking back with your mates. Goodness Gracious is the perfect companion for those laid-back moments, making every moment a little more golden.
So let's go in and taste this 5.5% Belgian Pale Ale, the second craft beer by my company JKB Brewing. Okay, so on the aroma, getting that real Belgian character. So, sort of subtle hints of banana, a bit of clove, and a bit of sweet fruit. What you would typically get from a Belgian ale. Very enticing, really love that aroma. I just love Belgian yeast. Love that estery character it gives off. But it's not, I don't think it's too over the top necessarily, but I think it's quite an enticing aroma. And there's just a little bit of hint of some of that lemon lime dry hop as well. It's very, very subtle. I mean, the Belgian yeast character is certainly the most prominent part of the aroma, but there is some of that as well. So let's go in for the taste. Yeah, so a bit different to last time. So the yeast character definitely follows through into the body of the beer, and I feel that yeast and some of the subtle sort of sweet fruity notes that you get from the yeast actually makes the beer or the body of the beer feel a bit fuller. Like you get certainly like a full flavor from it, but the beer body itself, like the malt body, is not very heavy at all. It's not too heavy necessarily, but I think some of that yeast fruitiness definitely gives you a feeling of fuller flavor and definitely enhances some of that maltiness a little bit too, I think. And then, so you're getting notes of honeyness, so notes of honey, so from the aromatic malty malt, as I like to call it. So definitely getting a little bit of that a little bit of those honey notes in there. Honeyness. I'm making up words now. Goodness gracious me. So getting a little bit of that honey in the malt as well. Most of the malt backbone is quite clean and crisp as well. So from the aroma, you get that yeast character that follows through in the beer. It's not overly strong. It's definitely not like drinking, say, a 8% triple or strong Belgian ale. It's not that strong on the yeast character, but it definitely follows through into the body a bit more, which I didn't really detect so much when I first tasted it. Yeah, then you're also getting clean bitterness from the Magnum hops. So we calculated about 33 IBUs when this was brewed. Like, you can definitely feel that the bitterness is there. I don't think it's way over the top bitterness. I actually think this is actually very easy to drink, which is one of the things about this beer, is that you get the full flavor, but the body is easy to drink, and the clean bitterness gives you this quenching character without it being harsh. So you got a clean bitterness to quench, balance out the sweetness from the malt, but it's not too difficult to drink. And look, it is a little bit more on the, I suppose, bitter side than not bitter side. I'd say, I don't know, 4 out of 5 hoppy hops. And you're gonna know it's there, but it's not too over the top, not like some completely hoppy IPA. So, which does quench without being, so bitter like you're drinking a herbal tea. And then on the end there as well, you get a lemon lime hoppy citrus edge to it as well, which is quite refreshing, and a little bit of pepperiness from the yeast at the very end as well. So, like when you've been working hard in the fields all day and you need a beer to refresh you, but also replenish you as well, that's the kind of image I get when I have this beer, with that lemon lime hop at the edge, adding a bit of refreshment, enough refreshment to make it easy to drink, along with the peppery nose from the yeast. Also makes it, quenching and refreshing on the end. Oh, and then right on the very end, there's also a little bit of subtle fruitiness and a little bit of the honey character lingering on after the lemon lime hoppiness and the pepperiness from the yeast. So I think that's where you get that mix of sort of, it's refreshing enough without being just refreshing, with also having some replenishing character to it as well, without just being, sweet. It's amazing how beer can taste different to what you expect. Sometimes it's subtly different and sometimes it's wildly different. Even when you've had the beer before, it can still taste different. And that, I think, is an amazing thing about craft beer, is that it's not really some sort of cookie cutter formula. Like real craft beer, it's a living, breathing thing. As it settles and conditions, it evolves over time, and it gives you even more flavors and stories to explore. And that is what craft beer is all about at the end of the day. Now, if you want to dive deeper into the beer that I've talked about today, then head over to our website and there will be some information on this beer for you. And if you're a venue looking to serve some amazing and independent craft beer that is unique and just offers something a bit different, then shoot me an email at the email in the description of this video below to save your spot for a free tasting today. Oh, and by the way, if you missed the first tasting of this beer straight out of the fermenter and out of the keg the first time, then you can check that out here, and it will give you much more context on the journey of this craft beer. Cheers.